Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Hello, so glad to have you here. I want to wish you a very happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Ramadan, happy late solstice. We've got everything going here today, and each one of you should have gotten an Easter egg, if you did, and a little some candy to take home. Yeah, and if you didn't, raise your hand, and I'm sure John will bring you one. John, look, we got everybody. Yeah. Okay, good. And this is something that you can take home or you can give to a neighbor or whatever you want, but it's just an idea of the goodies that we are used to having with Easter. You know, whether it's Easter eggs or Easter bunnies or whatever. And it, people said, well, that we shouldn't do any of that. It takes away from the real gift of Easter. I just have a feeling, I can picture Jesus being a little boy going, yay, eggs with candy over it. I get that energy about it because I think he was kind of that little kid that liked things. So every time I give something out, that's what I'm thinking of. Well, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Yeah. And then Ramadan, it's just about over. Hallelujah. You can go back to eating candy. And with Passover, you probably already started on the holidays. So thank you all so very much for being here. This is the Center for Creative Living, and I'm the Reverend Dottie Boone, and I'm so glad to have you here. We have a lot of exciting things going on. And like I did last week, I'm doing this again this week, and I'm going to ask our wonderful Kevin, do you have a prayer you'd like to start us with?
Wow. You will by the time you get there.
These are ministerial students. They're going to become ministers, and so they I just embarrass them at will here.
Oh, yeah, blindside.
Wow. I know. That's what it's called.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, I like your shirt.
Oh,
That's nice.
I was going through the closet thinking, what have I got in here that looks like it might be Easter-y, so
Well, it sure is.
kind of.
So you can talk into the mic so we can have you for posterity.
Oh, great. Father, thank you for bringing us here today. Your word says that where two or more are gathered, you're in the midst. And I think even more importantly, that doesn't mean that you're not there when we're alone. You're in our midst, but when we're separated, as we will be later on today, you still go with each and every one of us. And you're there. And I thank you for that. Amen.
Amen. Yay! Great. Good prayer.
Thank you so very much. Wasn't that easier than you thought it would be?
No.
Okay. I want to know who's going to go with us for lunch today.
I am.
Okay, and because we need to do a head count, and we're going to be going to the 4th Street Bowl. Good morning, Reverend Brown.
Good morning.
Joyce comes all the way over from Soquel, so it was depending on what's happening with the holiday traffic when she's going to get here. And so glad to have you here. Are you going to join us for lunch today?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Hey, cousin.
Oh, okay. Because we would like for many as you can, because a lot of you don't have a family where you're going to be having Easter dinner or Easter at home. I'd like you to think of this as your family. This is your new tribe, as it were. So we'd like for you to have an opportunity to join and get to know people better and get that energy, that feeling of who we are. Anytime you run into a group of people that you feel you're alone, And I know every one of us has at some time felt, oh my gosh, I'm all alone. And you go into a group of people and you think they all know each other. Well, here we've got new people coming in and out every week. And it's exciting to welcome new people, like our wonderful Amanda McClure, who is back. We haven't seen you for a while here at church. Thank you very much. And yes, go.
So, so you don't get the Amandas because there's two Amandas, and I give you guys permission to call me this. This is my nickname, Manders. You guys
Manders? Oh, that's cute.
Okay, I like Manders.
Okay, so, and Amanda Nguyen is here, and so, yeah, that's very seldom that we have people with the same name, and it's great. I have these wonderful smiling faces, so.
So Amanda's going to be having lunch with us today.
And Amanda's going to have lunch with us
Manders.
today. Manders. Okay, good. And I'm sure that we'll find out if Patty is or not. And Joyce, did you get your Easter egg?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Make sure that Patty gets one too. And Gabrielle, before we get started, do you have anything to say this week?
I have plenty to say.
Gabrielle is the president of the group here of the Billy DeFrank Center. I never know quite what you're president of, so I'm now just giving you the title.
The board.
President.
I am not the president of the country.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm the president of the board here at the Billy DeFrank Center. So, on April 23rd, which is a Sunday, Viva Calle, when they shut down the streets, is going to happen. And we will have drag queens who are performing on the Rainbow Crosswalk. But the important thing for you to know is that use the back streets to get here. Because the Alameda will be shut down. And people will be roller skating, walking, dancing, performing, and all kinds of stuff. And I will give Corky information about where you can find different hubs so you can get pamphlets and find out what's going on out in the world. And on the 30th of April, I can't remember what's happening. Oh, I know. On the 30th of April, Breathe California will be here at noon in the back doing blood pressure and free testing the oxygen in your blood and also testing your breathing capacity. And all of that is free, so stay after Dottie is finished with you and and you are totally present for your life, then you can get some information about that and have your body tested to see if you are in alignment with your spirit. How's that? Woohoo! And I also want to say that we have opened up on Thursday nights. First Thursdays we have movie night. We just showed Bros. We are collaborating with Avenidas. They have a license to show all the latest movies. And the third Thursdays we have a healthy relationships workshop going. And I don't think any of us know enough about that. You can always know more. And even though his background is about domestic violence and abuse, you may find that some of the stuff in your past is still haunting you about abuse issues. And it makes it hard to know what a healthy relationship looks like. And so rather than go in there and take notes about, oh yeah, this is what healthy looks like, let's dig in and see what the unhealthiness is inside still because of other people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, there is more and more and more happening here at the Billy DeFrank Center. So don't forget, come play bingo on Wednesday nights, and always feel comfortable here, because this is your place, not just on Sundays. This is your place all week. Thank
Yay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hope you all got your Easter eggs, right? You guys, did you get an Easter egg? Oh, John, yeah, that's fine. Oh, there you go. Here you go. Welcome. Okay. We're gonna do a meditation, so I'd like you all to get comfortable. Put your feet flat on the floor. And take a nice deep breath. Thank you, Tim. You got your feet on the floor and you took a nice deep breath.
Always do.
Always okay. I'd like you to just follow the sound of my voice and take yourself into being a child. Going back to when you were 3 and 4 and 5. And it was a holiday time. Your mother might have been preparing food and getting ready for other members of the family to come over. Some of you might have been living with a single mom who was excited about hiding eggs just for you. However you celebrated this time of year, whether it was being at a feast for Passover, or whether it was just getting over Ramadan and ready to be eating during the day again. However you celebrated this holiday, go back to that small child. That small child that was full of expectation. And to feel what it was like to when the only way you could see adults was to look up. The only way that you knew what was coming is when people told you. And realize that those times were the times that formed you. How your family did holidays. How your parents honored each other and honored you. How you got dressed up to go to the synagogue or to go to church. All of these things were part of your history. So as we go back to that time, we feel the excitement of Easter Sunday. We feel the excitement of all of the things that are coming before. Don't forget that excitement today. That awareness of things that you have done before that are going to be repeated only differently. And as you feel that sense of excitement of what's coming next, hold on to it for the week so that everything new you can look at and express your delight, not your disdain. Newness is exciting. Honor it, appreciate it, and realize this is a time for you to change your attitude and your energy. This is truly a new beginning. And just keep your eyes closed for a minute. Tim, are you giving us a little bit of a song? Thank you.
I let myself be whole. I let myself be free. I let abundance be the way for me. I let myself feel love. I let myself feel peace. I let abundance be the way for me. And so it is, and so it is. I let abundance be the way for me. And so it is, and so it is. I let my life unfold in harmony. I let myself be whole. I let myself be free. I let abundance be the way for me. I let myself feel love. I let myself feel peace. I let my life unfold in harmony. And so it is, and so it is. I let abundance be the way for me. And so it is, and so it is. I let my life unfold in harmony. I let my life unfold in harmony.
Just take a nice deep breath and bring that in, and then relax. Ah, just release it. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Very nice.
Very good. And can you all hear me? If I'm still sitting back here? Oh, good. Today's speaker, I don't know how many of you have not heard her before. If you haven't, you are in for an experience. Our wonderful Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine is not only a very beautiful woman, I love her outfit today, she's also somebody who is not only connected to spirit, but also connected to spirituals. She brings all sorts of things in when she talks. And we're never quite sure what she's going to talk about. Because when she talks about it today is, and we rise. Now, I don't know how high we're rising, but I'm pretty excited about it. And because with her, you never know. The next thing we might be hitting the ceiling. Please welcome Reverend Dr. Ayleen.
Yay! Oh, that's okay. I don't know what I'm going to say when I get up here again. So,
can you explain the staff?
Yes, I will. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, for those of you who remember someone who was tremendously special in CCL, actually tremendously special to the world, her name was Virginia Essene. And she was an author, she was a lecturer, she was a teacher, she was a guide, she was a reverend, she was human. And she embraced her humanity. And she had a tremendously special relationship with one who she called the Master. And it was amazing because as she would get up and speak and share messages, you could feel this energy rolling off of her that was beyond human. And she and I became very good friends. And this staff was a staff that had been gifted to her in New Zealand. And she gifted it to me as she was passing. So as this is a very special day for her very special master, I wanted to have her present. So, growing up Catholic, and I had a fun time with it. It meant donuts, it meant going and seeing a great big building and hearing beautiful music and all of these things. But there was one day that seemed to be very different from the rest of them. And my mom would get us, all four of us. She had the four of us in April of 60, April of 61, August of 62, and October of 63. After my younger brother, my mother told my father, like the milkman, I'm no longer making deliveries. But that was a very special day. She got us all dressed up, and we had our special Sunday hats and the special Easter hats, and we had our little purses and the little frilly stockings, and my brothers had their suits with an actual tie. And my mom and all the other moms in the neighborhood were working on their wigs all week. It was who could get the tallest hat. And we walked in, and the church was all done up with flowers, and the music was playing. And like I did every time I went in, I looked up. At the top of the altar was the image of someone who I was told did amazing things and went through very, very, very hard times and died for love of me. And that was something I always heard, but I always thought it's like, well, and it was something that I would ask. And I would say, well, this person did amazing things. Wasn't that enough? They did miracles. Why wasn't that enough? And my mother, who I called the world's most adorable Catholic, the Catholic that all Catholics should have been, and my mom should have been Pope, she said, well, I can't totally understand it, but the way I figure it, the person who that person was a part of, God, couldn't understand how people could do the things they did. And so decided one day, you know what, maybe I'll understand them better if I become one. And went through all the things that humans go through. And I said, well, wouldn't that have been enough? And she said, well, I figure that the most significant thing any of us can go through is suffering and facing death. And to really know their children, they needed to experience that, to know what it meant to be afraid. And my mom was a tremendously humble woman, and she always said, well, but that's just what I figure. I'll find out when I get there. I'll make sure to ask for you. And I would ask spiritual people, and everybody seemed to have a different answer, but nobody had like a clear answer. And I kept thinking, well, y'all have been learning to do this for a long time. There should be a consensus. And then I became the one wearing the stole. And I became the one on the receiving end of those questions. For me, I defaulted back to my mom. And it wasn't so much about what this man did. It was about what he would become, what he would demonstrate. And the most significant part of that was the resurrection. It was that idea of going into that place that is dark, that is cold, that is just horrible. Going through those moments that we don't even think we can make it through. And yet, we make it through them.
Yes.
Consider that and many of you have been through things that have been so bad and so horrible and so frightening and so terrible. Even that man on that cross said, why have you forsaken me? Anybody ever have one of those "why have you forsaken me" moments?
Hell yeah.
I have. So it's okay to have those moments. But the thing is, no matter how bad that moment was, no matter how scary, no matter how painful, no matter how hard, you're looking back on it. Meaning that you got through it. You have achieved and overcome 100% of everything you have ever faced. If you are here, you overcame it. It may not have been pretty and it may not have been the solution you wanted, but you overcame it. And that wasn't an accident. How many times have you risen from your ashes? How many times have you had your heart broken beyond your ability to even breathe when you thought you would never love again? And yet you rose from those ashes and loved again. When you made mistakes that you thought were the worst possible mistake you could ever make and that no one would ever forgive you, and you weren't even valued as a human being because of the mistake you made. You rose from those ashes. You learned that no one is perfect. You learned to forgive yourself. You have all, each and every one of you, demonstrated yourself to be divine beings having a human experience. That's what we all are. No matter how low you have been, you were never alone in it. No matter how alone you felt, you were always held. You always had someone who, as you sat in those ashes, reached out and took your hand and pulled you forth. This dress I wore because it bears the phoenix. And we need to remember that we have the spirit of the phoenix within us. We need to remember that we have resurrection within us because we have, however we envision our Creator, however we perceive that being to be, that being is a part of us. And as that being rose, so do we. We carry that within ourselves. We just forget. We get so wrapped up in the things that have gone wrong and what we perceive as our ability or inability to just make good decisions. Every decision you made you stronger. Every decision you made, no matter how badly it went, gave you wisdom that you would not have had without it. I always said, at the times when I said, I wish I knew better. Well, the only reason we know better now is because we didn't know better then. Because we had to rise from our ashes. And sometimes it can be really hard because all you want to do is lay there in them. You just want it to stop. You just want to be handed a solution. You want to be rescued. You want so many things because we all do. We all, every single one of us, including the man who I was told, as the saying goes, how much did he love me? This much. That even he felt alone, which meant that in that moment, based on what my mother told me, in that moment, I like to think, we can tell ourselves any story we want. I told myself the story that in that moment, God understood me. God understood what it meant to be human. God felt what it was like to be afraid, to lose faith. And through that, we had a much better relationship. Through that, God understood his children a little bit better. And when I would think, it's like, well, that's a lot of love. To just go through that, to learn something, to sacrifice that much for a lesson. And if that is a story that resonates with you, then yeah. But then again, I thought to myself, as much as I love my sons and I would run in front of a bus through a burning building for my sons, you have someone that you love that you would run into a burning building to save? Do you have someone you love that you would be willing to lay your life down for? Do you have someone who has been sick and you said, please, if there's anybody out there listening, give it to me. Let me be sick. Spare them this. If I could love like that, do I honestly believe that I have a greater capacity to love than the creator of all things? However we envision that being? Do I believe that my desire to understand my children could exceed that of the one I envision as the creator of all things? And I have to come up with a great big old nope. And the fact that each and every day we learn how to be more. Each and every day we learn how to be better. Each and every day we fall and we rise. Success is not about the fact that you fell 1,000 times. It was the fact that you managed to get up 1,001. And the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. And success is just a matter of outlasting the learning curve. And what greater success can we have than to be able to say, you know, I went to my knees, but I got up again. Or maybe I went to the ground, but I at least got to my knees again. It is within each and every one of us to overcome, because that is our nature. Does that mean we're always going to be able to, win? As my dad used to say, some days you're the baby and some days you're the diaper. So, yeah. You may lose a battle, but that doesn't mean you've lost the war. That doesn't mean you don't show up the next day and go, okay, life, round 2, let's do this. And sometimes we do have to go, you know what? I need to choose something else, because the thing that I am so attached to, if I haven't achieved it by now, maybe that's a sign it's not right for me. Grief, which, I broke down grief to mean getting real in every feeling, because I have never been so real with myself and with the world than when I'm in grief. It goes to a place where you can't pretend like it's all okay. Every time we go into grief and work our way out of it, that is us rising from the ashes. It could be the grief from the loss of a person. It could be grief from, the loss of a job. It could be a loss of a relationship, or a change in a relationship, or a change in our health. It could be that your favorite team lost the Super Bowl. It's like, for some people, I've actually had to do some counseling with folks because, it's like the World Cup. Oh my God, they didn't win. It's like, okay, I'm so sorry. Let's work through this. When we can stop telling ourselves we're silly for the things we grieve and just understand that those are the ashes that we sit in, because what it represents is the burning away of something that either we learned what we were meant to learn from it and it was no longer needed in our life, or something that we had created an attachment to that never served us anyway. And as we sit, I had a dream once, and I was, oddly enough, speaking with my Creator. And I was sitting, it was during a time when I was feeling I had made a lot of bad decisions. And so in this dream, there was a plane crash, and I was sitting in the midst of it. And this being came up to me and said, well, how did that work out? And I said, not so good. Can we leave now? And that being looked at me and said, no, because now you have to find the black box. And I said, like, excuse me? It's like, the black box, that thing that has all the information that lets you know what went wrong. You got to stay here in this until you find it. And I said, all I want to do is get away from here. I want to get away from the memory of this. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. You know that. I'll be sitting over here playing my Game Boy, and you go and find what you're supposed to find. Yes, in my dream, God played a Game Boy. I don't know why. It's like maybe a PlayStation, maybe something else, but, for some reason, it's like Creator really liked that Game Boy. So I walked around and just looking at the devastation of my own choices. And I decided, okay, I'm just going to do this. And so instead of treating it like I have to do this, I told myself I get to do this. And I searched in earnest, and I found the black box, and I brought it back to Creator, who was like, cool, now look in it. Yeah. And I looked in it, and I found someone who did the best that they knew to do with the tools they had in that moment. And I learned compassion for myself. And so as we were sitting there and, this being said, okay, so tell me what happened. Tell me what went wrong, and you may not use any term that degrades yourself. Go left brain. Just the facts. Well, this choice led to this, which led to this. It's like, okay, what would you have chosen differently if you knew? Well, I would have chosen this, this, and this. It's like, okay, you learned something. Now, you get to take off again. And I looked up, I turned around, and there was this airplane that was whole and complete. Of course, it had a new black box that would determine when the next time I decided to fly into a mountain or something. But it was a new chance. And I knew that I could fly it. I knew that I would rise. And when I woke up from that dream, I had a much greater appreciation for what it takes to keep going, because it's very easy. And for some, the biggest challenge they face is just getting out of bed in the morning. When the biggest challenge that you face is the idea of just, no, I'm not getting up. I'm not getting up. And yet you do. That is something to be proud of. That is a part of rising again and again. And maybe you get up, you take on your day, and it's one of those days that is diaper day. But then you go to bed with if you don't know anything else, it's that no matter how bad that day got, it did not beat you. It was not stronger than you, nor was anybody in it stronger than you. And maybe you just go, well, and I will get up again. And I rise. And I will keep rising. And I will keep getting up. And I will keep messing up. And I will keep learning from messing up. And sometimes, yes, we forget the little miracles. Just like when I asked, weren't the miracles enough? How many times do we get those little miracles and then we forget them? Finding a parking space that's close in the rain. Or suddenly finding $20 in a jacket pocket. Or finding your car keys or your glasses or whatever. Think of all the little miracles we get. And not just the ones we get, the ones we give. When we call somebody and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called. Or when, you hold a door for somebody who has spent their whole day being disrespected, and to have one act of respect offered to them changes their entire life. Those are the miracles we give, and yet we forget them. The miracle of being able to breathe through your nose after a cold. Have you ever had one of those things where you have the cold? I normally do not think about my nose. But when I've got a cold and it's all clogged up, it is my entire universe. Please, don't let me breathe. I just want to breathe. And then that day you wake up and you're feeling better from your cold, and also Vicks Vapor Rub. It works. Anyway, but the idea that, we enjoy that. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I can breathe. Or, oh wow, that cough finally went away. A couple of days later, we don't even think about it. We don't say, it's like, wow, yeah, I remember last week when I was really sick. I'm still appreciating the fact I can breathe through my nose. In my daily prayers, I always say, thank you for the blessing of everything you give and everything you are. And thank you on behalf of those who don't. And on behalf of those who blame you for stuff that's not your fault, but their own choices, I'm sorry. Each time we remember the little miracles. Each time we draw strength from the fact that we've overcome everything that we've ever faced. Every time we realize that we go to bed more than we were than when we woke up that morning. Each of those is a little resurrection. Now, I don't know totally what's going to happen after this life. Have some ideas. I have had some insights. I've even had a few experiences, and a lot of people have. So I figure, well, no matter what, it's going to be really interesting. When we remember that energy is not destroyed, it cannot be destroyed. It simply changes form. We are energy. And we are a very special kind of energy. We are a spiritual energy, as much as an energy of physics. You have the same thing inside of you that the stars are made of, the exact same elements. And as the stars move and live their lives and then burn out, I always wondered what was the heaven for stars like. When I was a little girl, I used to think, because somebody told me, it's like, well, some of the lights that you see in the sky at night, it took the light that long to reach here, but by the time it got here, that star was long gone. And the first thing I thought was, wow, imagine what the heaven for stars looks like. That would be cool.
Too nuts.
And so the idea that everything can hold rebirth, from the biggest things to the littlest things. But you will rise. Whatever you're going through now, it's not bigger than you or stronger than you or more powerful than you. It just feels like it. And that's okay for it to feel like it. But you will rise because it is your nature. Because it is how you've always been made to be. Because you carry within you a piece of the one who rose. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. You know what? I forgot to ask. Anybody have a birthday this week? Anybody? The group just does not get older. I swear. When I had Christine, yes, I had your birthday, but I think, there might be somebody else.
I also had a birthday.
You also had a birthday and you didn't get your beads, did you?
I don't want beads this time.
You don't want beads this time. You have to take care of them, figure out what to do with them. Well, that's perfectly okay. And that was so wonderful, Dr. Ayleen. I love that. And what a moving talk for this day. And thank you so very much. Next week we have a wonderful person, Stephanie Ferreira. She's going to be talking about She Who Loves All Things. You have a program. If you don't have a program, see John in the back and get a program so we can find out You can find out. I know what's going to happen, but you can eat too to find out what's coming up and what's going to be happening. Love to have that for you. So, for any of you who are saying,
Also next week, I want to mention, along with
come on up so you can go on video.
next week, I want to mention, along with Brianna/Stephanie's talk, we do have Light of Lights Choir revising our spring edition.
With
which
new songs, new
Yeah, with
original
new songs, including Reverend Ayleen and Janet and Stephanie and
James.
and
James
James.
going to be. How about
James.
Ronnie?
We don't know about Ronnie yet.
Okay.
And some other dude who
And
plays that guitar.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. Whatever dude that is, we're gonna really appreciate it. And talking about Ronnie, you'll see on the back of your program, the UCM Sacred Stage is their speaker series. Our wonderful Reverend Ronnie Grigsby is going to be speaking, and he's going to be speaking about dimensions of spirit from the Black Church. And I'm sure there's going to be a song or two in there, since Ronnie has a wonderful, wonderful voice, and we'd really like for you to be able to join us in that. It's on Zoom, and you have all the, I always say coordinates. I know Zoom is called something besides coordinates, but that's what I call them out. So you can get a chance to watch Ronnie and listen to him speak. That would be great. The other thing I want to talk about is following up on what our Gabrielle was talking about, is the fact that last week there was a lot of food left over, and please, that food there is for you to take home with you. There's blue bags. I have so many blue bags at home, I think I'm going to have to start wallpapering a room with them. I mean, it's amazing. But all of that has been donated here. There's blue bags. You can grab one of those and take as much food home as you would like. And this is something that I want you to think about, is that I can take home some food for me, but I might have a neighbor next door that is needing food. I don't think there's a greater gift than you can do is give somebody food. It's a feeling of, I know for us, since Corky, stand up Corky so they can see you're still in your sling, but she's getting it off in 2 weeks. Reverend Corky is slaying, and she's doing very well. So we want to be supportive of her. And what's happened is we've had people cooking food for us, and it's amazing the delicious food that people have donated. So she doesn't have to use her right arm and be in there cooking, you know. So. And I was talking to one of the people, I was talking to Robin, and I said, Robin, thank you so much for giving us food and cooking it. She says, I think about you with every vegetable I chop, with everything that I put in the pot. She was making soup. I think about you, and I know that this is healthy, and I know you're going to be really respectful and thankful. And I thought, what a great way to get food that has love put into it. I'm not too sure that Denny's puts that much love in their food, but I know that Robin does. And so think about that.
It's great stuff, too.
It's great stuff. Think about that. If you have somebody you know who's going through a rough time, offer to make them a pot of soup. It's amazing when you can chop it up and think about them during that time. We are doing a lot of different things this year, and I want you to please keep in touch with us. If you don't get the CCL Insights, it goes out every week, and you just talk to Corky today, or sign up on one of the cards back there, and we'll put you on a list. We are still doing ministerial classes, so thank you so very much for the people who are attending that. We really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to take a hands up. Ed, could you count how many people are going to join us for breakfast at the 4th Street Bowl? Raise your hand. Patty, Joyce, are you?
Uno, dos, tres.
Okay.
Tentative acceptance.
Okay. How many?
8.
Okay. because I said we were gonna have 12, so I just wanna make sure if it's gonna be less, I can call them and let them know that that's what's happening. Because we're leaving, gonna try and leave a little bit early today. They are open until 2, so they can get home and do Easter with their family, so that's what's happening. Yes, Christine?
I didn't raise my hand because I thought that I wouldn't be able to make it because I have to be somewhere at 2. But
if they're going to close
closing
it,
at 2.
yeah, sounds good. Okay, thank you so very much. And those people that haven't been here before, that's what I think of. A CCL is not just a church you can attend, but kind of like a tribe of people, because you meet people from all over the United States. You meet all sorts of people with different hopes, dreams, and desires. And it's hard these days to meet people other than when you go to work. And so that's one of the things that we have here, is we have a group of very interesting people, and and when you can sit down and share a meal, it seems like a good way to get to know who people are. Okay, and Reverend Joyce Brown, could you come up here and do our closing prayer? Okay, while she's coming up here, I want you all to please make a donation. You have envelopes where you can put the donation in. And Ayleen, are you passing a basket? Christine, could you pass a basket also? Hi, doll. How was the drive over?
The drive over was pretty fast. Patty was driving pretty fast.
Yay, Patty! Go, girl.
And I have phobias about deep things, so the road coming over is nothing but this, so I'm always looking this way. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Joyce. Reverend Joyce.
Yes, it's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be in the body, and I thank Cousin for the reminder of many wonderful things that I've experienced that didn't start off being quite so wonderful. Let us all now just relax into our seats. I'll relax into my feet. Today is a day of amazing new adventures for everyone. Just remember that you are on a journey, and you are in the company of all life. And all of the lives that are with you are part of the journey that helps you to remember some things that's important. Remember what a prayer is. It's personal. Remember that how you feel about a prayer is personal. But let me share this little small prayer with you. I remember one time talking to my father, and he didn't say much, but he always gave me the most simplest teachings. And he said to me one day, as we were sitting quietly, remember who you are, Joyce C. Do not forget that when you hold your head up, even when you are praying, your head is always up, and that you can see where you are going. And remember that you are not alone. He says, the unknown people are with you. He meant the angels and the saints and ancestors, everyone that you would think of. And they're going to guide you, Joyce C. And they're going to help you to find your way. Remember to relax. Say thank you. Remember you're not alone. And life will have a different turn every day. Blessings to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Joyce.
Thank you.
Okay, one little, whoops. Every once in a while, my knees don't want to bend. Sorry about that. A little aside to our wonderful Dr. Ayleen. My uncle Chuck developed the black box.
Really?
Yeah. Charles O. Smith was his name, and he was a He was an engineer and a test pilot, and graduated from USC. So when you said black box, of course, my brain went, it was one of those amazing things. So I want to thank you all so very much for being here. And one of the things I would like you to do before we leave is just turn and face the person next to you and say thank you for coming. You can stand or you can stay seated. No.
Being a friend.
Thank you so very much. We're going to look forward to next week. Music, wonderful communication, and don't be a stranger. Thank you for coming. Bye now. Yay.